Released in America on October 10th, 2006 for the PlayStation 2 and re-released for PSN on October 4th, 2011, God Hand is a very special game. It's a 3D action game directed by Shinji Mikami, a guy mostly known for Resident Evil and Dino Crisis, and it's developed by Clover Studios, known for Beautiful Joe, Okami, and also went on to become Platinum Games. On paper, that sounds like neither of these things would even remotely work together. A survival horror director teaming up with a bunch of weirdos that love silly over-the-top action games? Sounds like a recipe for a confusing mess, but somehow the end result is a fantastically made game with incredibly deep gameplay and a wacky sense of humor that just has fun with its premise. So let's not waste any more time. Let us reminisce on God Hand. Long ago, there was a fallen angel that became the demon king Angria, and he planned to invade the world with his demonic army until a man with the power of God in his arms single-handedly destroyed the entire army and defeated Angria. People referred to this man as the God Hand, and when he died, a clan of people took it upon themselves to protect the God Hands from danger. That is, until a man by the name of Azel slaughtered most of the clan and took one of the God Hands for himself. One of the surviving clan members by the name of Olivia escaped with the other God Hand and eventually runs into a bunch of punks. In enters Jean, a drifter who tries to intervene and ends up getting his arm cut off in the process. Olivia, grateful for Jean's attempt to save her, gives him the other God Hand. Olivia also informs Jean that a group of demons known as the Four Devas are trying to resurrect Angria, and only the God Hand can stop him. She also makes it very much known that if Jean doesn't do it, Olivia will just chop off the God Hand and find someone else. And so Jean's off, encountering many punks and weirdos and the Four Devas, comprised of the foul-mouthed butterball Elvis, the pleasure-seeking partying succubus Shannon, the leader and old servant of Angria, Belzy, and the new recruit calling himself the Devil Hand, Azel. Over the course of the game, Jean finds out more about Angria and Olivia. Olivia is especially important as you find out that she's Azel's ex-fiancée. Speaking of Olivia, she ends up getting taken hostage and used as a sacrifice for Angria. After beating Belzy, Jean learns the location of where Azel has taken Olivia, and he rushes over as fast as possible for the final battle. The two square down in a God Hand-off for the ages, with Jean winning. But it's not over. It turns out that Angria was inside Azel, manipulating his actions. Before being used as a sacrifice, in a heel-faced turn, Azel rips off his God Hand and tosses it to Jean to help aid him in defeating Angria. With both God Hands, Jean makes quick work of the reincarnated Demon King and saves the day. Not gonna lie, this story doesn't really mean anything. It's there to add context to who you fight, you know, sometimes. But on the whole, the main selling point to God Hand is its gameplay. And speaking of, so let's get the weird stuff out of the way first. The controls and the camera. Jean has tank controls, so holding left or right turns him rather than makes him go in that direction. This, combined with the fixed camera, turned a lot of people off on this game. But personally, I never found this to be a problem. The camera was pulled back enough so that I could see any enemies off to the side or close behind me, and the turning meant that I could easily face any of these threats head on. Combine this with the dodging mechanic where you can strafe, juke, and backflip depending on which direction you move on the right stick, and at least to me, you have a stable sense of direction and mobility. Enemies come at you at all sides, and most stages have multiple groups of enemies trying to jump at you at once. But the controls, camera, and mechanics in place make it so I can assess the situation and plan accordingly quite effectively. And that's just talking about how you keep track of enemies and avoid their attacks. When it comes to Jean and what he can do, that's where the real fun starts. So starting off, Jean has a 4-hit combo, some kicks, a guard breaker, and a charge attack. While running around stages and beating up enemies or breaking barrels and pots, you'll randomly get health, power-ups, or money. Health comes in the shape of oranges, bananas, and strawberries that heal varying degrees of health. Power-ups include skull cards that give you a number of roulette orbs depending on the card's color and graphic, or a card that increases your tension gauge. Now, roulette orbs are used for the God Reel. Pressing the R button will bring out a roulette wheel of special moves that you can perform if you have enough roulette orbs for the move. These can range from dragon kicking someone into the Milky Way, devolving into your inner Kenshiro, or busting somebody's balls. Your tension gauge is built up by beating up enemies, evading, and taunting. Once it has reached a certain point, you can press R2 to unleash the God Hand. While you're in this state, your power and speed increases tremendously, and you're also invincible. It only lasts a limited time though, so make it last. Each stage consists of multiple sections where you roam around, fight enemies, solve puzzles, and save civilians who give you a reward in return. At the end of each section, you are brought to the map screen, where you can see what stage you're currently in, save, continue, or go to the shop at Casino Island thingy. In this area, you can fight in challenges, play slots, blackjack, or poker. After beating a few stages, you can bet on the poisonous chihuahua races. Yes, you heard that right. And lastly, you can go to the shop where you can buy upgrades to increase your HP, tension gauge, or roulette wheel. You can buy more special moves for your God Wheel, and the biggest thing, you can buy attacks and completely customize your entire moveset. Each of these attacks have different attributes, different speeds, different power, and it's entirely up to you how these moves will flow together. You can even buy upgrades to increase your combo from 4 hits to 6 hits, giving more possibilities out of the 100 attacks that progressively become available throughout the game. As you can tell, you have a lot at your disposal, but don't think the enemy is a bunch of mindless idiots. Enemies will block, team up, and use various types of weapons to try and get the one-up on you. You can counteract this by evading them and breaking their guards. The latter can stun the enemy and bring up context-sensitive actions like pummeling, suplexing, and spanking. But this still doesn't make you unstoppable. In the bottom left of the screen is a difficulty bar. As you beat down enemies without getting hit, the bar will level up. As it levels up, enemies will hit harder and change their AI. Like for instance, level 1 and 2 on the bar has it so enemies will only attack if they are in your line of sight. For level 3, enemies attack you regardless if you're looking at them, and at the final level known as Die, you pretty much go down in 2 to 5 hits. This bar can be lowered by getting hit or using the groveling move on your God Wheel to intentionally lower the level. The last thing the game throws at you is demons. Randomly when you defeat enemies, a demon will pop out of them. These are fast, powerful, eccentric, and don't leave themselves open for long. But beating these demons will have them leave behind a chest that can give you a pickup or a scroll that adds another move to your God Wheel free of charge. At the end of each stage, you're tallied on how well you did, how many enemies you beat, and which difficulty you beat them on, and if you kept the civilians safe. Your score is then given to you in the form of money. The higher the score, the more money you get to spend on more moves and upgrades, and then you move on to the next stage. Playing this game is an absolute trip. Nearly every stage and section is filled with many different types of enemies and bosses to fight. From the 4 Devas, Mad Max-esque citizens, and clowns, to Super Sentai ripoffs and...
He's such a sexy man! Just my type!
Oh my lord. I also like how besides the plot bosses, none of these bosses even remotely have a reason to be here. There's a boss fight against a wrestling gorilla who literally gets off of a bus reading a newspaper and then realizes that he's the next boss you gotta fight. It's so kooky and the game knows it. There's multiple times where the game lampshades how ridiculous the situation even is. And that vibe while blasting through an incredibly fun and hard to master game is just a great time all around. Sure, for a late PS2 game, it's not going to blow anyone away with its production values or visuals, but it's a massively deep and technical beat-em-up that has tons of work, polish, and charm put into its combat, moves, and animation. And honestly, I appreciate that way more than a game that's just visually impressive. After beating the game, you can load your save to play in New Game Plus. Here, you have access to all the challenges and the poisonous chihuahua races. And as a reward for beating the game, you can change Gene's attire, from a karate gi to even wearing the Devil Hands clothes. You can always switch back to Gene's costume, and you can even have Olivia dressed up in a bunny suit, if you want. All the upgrades and such at the shop are available at the start as well, and while you have to buy all your moves again, you can now buy the god variations of your starting moves that do tons of damage but are some of the most expensive items in the game. So get to saving, especially for the moves that are unblockable. God Hand has a pretty lax soundtrack normally, though its bass and guitars eventually give rise to funky techno or pop, and all in all is a great soundtrack to have playing over all the carnage and silliness this game wallows in. My favorites include It's a Smile World, the theme for Stage 3, The Gang of Venice, the theme for Stage 5, Sunset Heroes, the theme that plays when you fight the Mad Midget 5, Shannon's first boss theme, Rainy Rose, which has some amusing accompaniment, Come From Dark, the theme that plays whenever a demon shows up, Elvis's first boss theme, Smoking Roll, which is some dance club music with Elvis-like sounds and a dude just going chants. And of course, the credits song, God Hand.
Got a demon, what am I? It's time for me to choose my path. The power of my God Hand, no evildoer will get past. Hand to hand or fist to fist, kick your nuts or twist your wrist. God power keeps my pimp hand strong, so trust me or you won't last very long. Dragon kick your ass into the Milky Way. Milky Way. Don't act like you don't like the Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur. My arm, my arm, my arm, my arm, my arm, my arm, the summon of the powers of the God Hand. Lost a limb in a fight, but don't worry, babe, I'll be cool.
God Hand is something else, man. It's one of those once-in-a-lifetime games. Like that type of game that could have only worked with that team at that point in time. It's such a unique and mechanically impressive game based on the most simple of genres, the beat 'em up. And funny enough, the idea for this game came from a simple place. Shinji Mikami just felt that too many action games focused on weapons at the time, and wanted to make a game strictly around hand-to-hand combat. It's also a turning point, as this was Clover's last game before they became Platinum, and Shinji went on with them, directing games like Vanquish and later The Evil Within. God Hand itself sold pretty decently, but not exceptionally well, and it's pretty understandable why. The Xbox 360 was out in most areas of the world when this came to the States, and the PS3 was a month away from release. It's unfortunate, but at least it's gathered a cult following nowadays, and anybody with a PS3 can enjoy this wonderful game while Sony still has the servers up. For anyone who's even remotely interested, I recommend getting this game. It's $10 normally, and every now and then it goes on sale for $3. But either way, that is all I have to say about God Hand. Let me know what you all think of this game, but only if you want to. Thank you all so much for watching, be safe out there, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care.
My arm, my arm, my arm, my arm, my arm, my arm, I summon up the powers of the Godhead!
Yeah.